Oh my God, I have a lot to say about this. Okay. I'm going to say something radical. There's no such thing as a waste of time. For a lot of my life, when I stopped doing a hobby or a career or a relationship ended, I would kind of lament that lost time. Why would I put so much effort into a relationship that ended? And why would I put so much energy into a career that I don't even want to do anymore because I got bored? I would feel horrible because I'm like, now I'm older and like I'm no closer to being in the right relationship. I'm no closer to being in the right career because I wasted all this time, right? I didn't get out of it what I was expecting to get out of it, which is if it was a career, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, or a relationship, like this is who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. It's so easy to feel like, well, none of it mattered. All that energy I invested into it, all that effort I put in didn't matter because it ended. But it's not true. Because, yeah, you don't have that relationship anymore. You don't have that job anymore. But the things that you learned, the growth that you had out of that relationship or in that job, you still have those things. I learned things from my friendships and from my relationships. I got things out of all of them. And I try to remind myself of that because it's so easy to be like, well, that was just a waste of time. There is so much value in everything that we do. Sometimes I think we don't see it because we have something in mind that we want to get out of it. We get into a relationship wanting for it to last forever, or we get into a job wanting a promotion, or we get into situations where we think we know what we want to get out of it, and if we don't get that thing out of it, then we failed, then it wasn't worth it, then it didn't matter. All the effort went to waste. But just because it's not the thing that we were looking to get out of it doesn't mean we didn't get anything out of it. I am deliberately living by myself right now because I wanted to, by the end of the year, before I start writing a book and doing other things, I wanted to get the experience of like enjoying living on my own. And I had this very specific idea in it where like, okay, I'd move in and like a month later, everything would be put away and settled. And I'd just get like a few months of, I don't know what I was expecting. I'd just get a few months of like luxuriating and being like, I'm going to watch TV whenever I want. And I'm going to like, I don't know, hang upside down on the couch. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it was not going to be what it actually was. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna have a glass of wine, like cook dinner by myself. It was like frozen pizzas is what it was. I remember talking to my therapist about it, and it was just like, I didn't get what I wanted. Like I didn't get the experience of living alone. I didn't get to have what I wanted to have. What I got was realizing I very much value having somebody in a house with me. I don't like living alone. I didn't know that until I'd gotten to experience it. It's hard. You have to do everything by yourself. And I don't know why that didn't occur to me, but like I got to learn a lot about myself, and I got to become more competent and learn how to do things that otherwise I wouldn't have learned how to do on my own. And I think this is especially relevant for people with ADHD because we often go from one job to another. We often end careers. We often end up realizing that our friendships aren't a good fit, or those friendships end up falling away. And then there's almost this hurt feeling of like, well, why did I even invest in that then? And it would make me kind of go, do I actually want to invest in developing another friendship then? Because I know how this ends. I know that they're going to move away or we're going to grow apart or whatever. So like, why even bother? But I came across an article one day that talked about the fact that we think of relationships as these things that are supposed to be permanent and forever. And if they're not, then like, we did something wrong. And that's not really true. That's not how relationships work. People come into our lives at a time when we need them or they need us. And we can learn from each other and grow together when we're kind of around the same place, or we're going through things where we can help each other. We can be supportive to each other. We can be good friends to each other. And sometimes we grow in one direction and they grow in another. And it doesn't make sense anymore. That friendship doesn't help us grow anymore, or that friendship doesn't meet our needs or their needs in a way anymore. And that's natural. That happens, and that's okay. The things that you learned in that relationship and the things they gave you and taught you, those things don't go away. Those are yours to keep forever. One of the really good examples of this is there is a Body Worlds exhibit that was on happiness and what makes people happy. And there was all this research and information on the walls. Well, it turns out that people who get married are happier. You have this, base level of happiness, and then before you get married, it starts to increase, and then you get married, and then it starts to decrease a little bit. But what they found is, on average, people were still happier being married than before they got married. So even though it did take a dip, they were still happier. But the really interesting thing was, when they got divorced, They had another peak of happiness. They were taking charge of their lives and leaving this person that wasn't actually a good fit for them. And so they were even happier. So you would think that, okay, well, if you started out not married and you ended up not married, well, what's the point? Like, you didn't actually accomplish anything. And like, now you're upset because you're divorced or whatever. The point is, you're still happier. You still gained something from that experience, even if you didn't stay married. And the reason I bring this up on this channel is because those of us with ADHD often go through several career changes, lots of relationships, a couple divorces. We lose things. It's so easy to feel like that was just a waste. We might think when we buy a thing or start a career or start a hobby or start a relationship that thing is supposed to last forever. But the truth is, more often than not, it doesn't, especially if you have ADHD, because you're gonna get bored. You're gonna lose the thing. You're gonna wanna change jobs. You're gonna need more of a challenge. One of my favorite quotes is, "You never touch someone so lightly that you do not leave a trace." The value that you provide by being a friend to somebody, or by being an employee of an organization, or by participating in a hobby with a friend, that value is there. And you never know like what kind of ripple effects it has, but it never means nothing. So I'm actually really curious to hear what you've gotten out of past friendships or relationships or jobs that you value, that you still find important to you. Let me know in the comments below. And speaking of being curious, this video is sponsored by Fabulous, which, if you're curious, is the #1 self-care app to help you build better habits and achieve your goals. It's based on behavioral science and breaks down scientifically proven healthy habits into small tasks so you can achieve them every day. It's tailored to fit you and your goals. You can use it to build and track habits on your own, or if you need a little motivation, use the guided version. I used the guided version at first, which uses storytelling and artwork to guide us on journeys to establish better habits. And I'm still doing habits that help me create, even when I don't remember to use the app, which is pretty impressive for me. So I decided to see what it would be like if I created my own routines. This is the other way you can use Fabulous. It still offers tips and recommendations, but you can add your own habits, like take meds, brush your teeth, walk the dog. There's no walk dog. There is now, I just added it. You can choose icons for them and adjust their duration, which can help us improve our sense of how long things actually take. Pretty important for those of us with ADHD. When you're ready to start a routine, just hit play. If you're running late, you can skip an activity. If you want to do them in a different order, you can snooze one and come back to it. I found that having this level of control over my routines motivated me to go back to using the app and to tweak them as needed. However you use Fabulous, it's really gentle and encouraging. If you want to use Fabulous to build your ideal daily routine, click on the link in the description below. The first 100 people who click on the link will get 25% off a Fabulous subscription. Thank you to my brain advocates and all my Patreon brains for funding my coffee habit. Like, subscribe, click all the things, and I'll see you next video. Bye, brains.